been terrible at defense for a while. Paul Guenther is definitely not getting it done. We have got to step up on offense. The offense has to start clicking. Yo, what's good, Raider Nation? This your boy Raider J77. And the first thing I gotta say about yesterday's win is Raiders. Man, that was an awesome win. Hey, man, I appreciate y'all checking out this video. Make sure that you hit the like button. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications. We're going to have regular Raiders content as well as Trailblazers content right here on My City, My Game YouTube channel. Also, make sure you go over and you check out the other show that I'm a part of with Darian. That is the Spotlight Raiders Talk, where we break down everything Raiders. So that's another great place to get Raiders content. Going to be a little bit different than this. This will be just me. That other show is going to be me and him as well. So we're going to have plenty of Raiders content for you guys to check out between those two. It's going to be really, really good stuff. Darian is a really good dude, man. The guy is really smart when it comes to football. Loves the game of football, and loves the Raiders. I just enjoy that show. Also, check out our YouTube channel, which is the network, the Spotlight Sports Network on Twitter. Go check out my Twitter. That looks like it's right there, Raider_J77. Also, you can check out my Facebook, My City, My Game. Make sure you go on there and give me a like and hit the notification button, because I want to make sure that I'm keeping you guys up to date with everything that we got going on. Also, you can check out the Raiders Talk Twitter as well. I'll put that in the description, so you can get all the Raiders content that you want. Plus, at the Spotlight Sports Network, we talk about all things. We talk about all things sports related: basketball, wrestling, baseball, soccer, hockey. I mean, everything. So go check us out. We are trying to do it real big for y'all, to give y'all all the sports content that you so desire. So right now I want to talk about something that is a little bit of a hot topic, or a hot button topic for a lot of Raider Nation right now, Raiders fans, and that's the defense, the Raiders defense, and Paul Guenther specifically as defensive coordinator. Now, historically, we have had a terrible defense over the last decade plus. It has not been very good. In addition to that, just over the last 3 years since Paul Guenther has been here, he was supposed to be, the guy to turn everything around, and it just doesn't seem to be happening. So there's a lot of Raider Nation, there's a lot of Raiders fans who are out for his head. They want Paul Guenther gone. They want him gone yesterday. And they have good reason. I don't blame them. I don't blame you guys for being frustrated. I'm frustrated. And there's a lot of times where I'm like, man, Paul Guenther has not been getting it done. Like, he's not doing what he said he was going to do. And it's really frustrating because we've been so bad. And it's been really, really difficult for the offense because they've had to play at such a high level all the time, almost dang near perfect, in order for us to win games, because our defense hasn't been coming through. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Paul Guenther's scheme, because a lot of people are like, oh, his scheme is terrible. He's a terrible defensive coordinator. I wanted to break that down a little bit. So first of all, a 4-3 defense, that's what Paul Guenther runs. In a 4-3 defense, I don't know how much everybody knows about, football, but you basically get 4 defensive linemen that are rushing the passer, and then you've got 3 linebackers. You got your middle linebacker and your 2 outside linebackers. Basically the Will, the Mike, and the Sam. So you also have 2 safeties that are lined up in the back. With this particular defensive scheme, you can drop those guys back pretty far. You can actually bring the strong safety up a little bit to actually run as a backup to help cover the tight end or any running backs that are going to come out and try to catch a pass. Basically, to kind of back up that that linebacker if he's struggling a little bit with the pass coverage. In addition to that, you got two corners. So that's just real basic. It's a pass coverage defense. It's really a zone defense, but there is a little bit of a zone defense ran with a little bit of man-to-man. So it's a zone man coverage sometimes, not very often, but sometimes. It's a very, very complex defense. There is a lot to it, especially with Paul Guenther. It's a very, very, there's a lot of wrinkles to it. There are a lot of ways to disguise it. So it's really, really complicated. But I think that based on just what I've seen, I went to watch the game again versus Kansas City, and I paid a lot of attention to our defense. I think it works for who it is we're facing, especially considering the Kansas City Chiefs. With their high flying offense, they'll get those big chunk plays. We have really got to be able to have good pass coverage, and so a 4-3 defense, in my opinion, does really well with that. It makes you susceptible to the run, unfortunately, because you don't have as many linebackers in the middle, so you don't have that coverage. So you have to have really good linebackers to run this defense, and they got to be able to play with their head on a swivel. In addition to that, the communication has to be really, really good. So I'm going to break it down here for you as to why it's so complicated, especially with Paul Guenther, and why communication is so important. So basically, there was an article that I came across I found it on both the Sports Illustrated as well as SB Nation. So I don't know if SB Nation was quoting from the Sports Illustrated article or Sports Illustrated was quoting from SB Nation. I'm not really sure, but I want to make sure I give props, because I'm going to quote them. So Sports Illustrated has this in their article on Paul Guenther and his defensive scheme, as well as SB Nation. And basically, Paul Guenther's scheme features 14 different D-line fronts, 14 stunts and twists, 15 coverages, 20 blitzes out of a 4-down front, 26 blitzes out of double A gap fronts, 19 blitzes out of odd fronts, which have either 3 or 5 across the D-line, with one aligned directly over center. There are also options for facing unusual offenses, looks like 4 receiver sets and wildcat, plus there are 10 to 12 red zone packages and 18 end of game packages, Many of these categories can be mixed and matched in different ways, and those mixing and matchings present different wrinkles. All assistant coaches have to know not just the various wrinkles and base concepts, but how to teach them to the players. The variables are infinite. Trying to go over each one, Guenther says, would be like trying to pinpoint every place along a fairway and rough that a golf ball might land. So it's very, very complicated. He also talks about how he wants unified verbiage, with everyone calling everything the same thing. He wants many of the instructions unified. For example, Guenther told his coaches to have cornerbacks kick slide and not let the receiver go untouched. A coach who tells a cornerback to just press and kick slide is wrong. He must say kick slide and not let the receiver go untouched. The more unified the verbiage, the easier it is to teach and learn deviated concepts. So there's a ton of verbiage when it comes to it. Communication is super key. You've got to be able to communicate. Everybody has to know exactly what the verbiage is, and everybody has to be able to speak the same verbiage. And so it's a very, very difficult thing to teach. In addition, like I said, over at SB Nation, I found an article. It goes on to talk a little bit about how Guenther kind of teaches this. And basically he says, I come in and I go on this board for about a week. Guenther explained, I'll go through front stances, alignments and initial keys, initial movements, run pass responsibilities, how and where each player physically stands, be it cornerback, nose tackle, etc. We do this for every defensive package, every formation. I take at least a week to just go through base alignments. Now that Guenther has acquired the players and coaches he thinks fit best in this defense, it is his job to teach the 4-3 system to them. So this takes a lot of teaching, and it takes a long time. It definitely seems as though Paul Guenther's scheme is extremely complex. And so for me, that kind of gives me kind of pause to say, basically, what he is trying to teach is going to, it's not going to happen overnight, right? And I know that he's been there for 3 years. I'm fully aware of that. I know that, we've given him a lot of time, but in his defense, and I'm not trying to be a Paul Guenther apologist, but in his defense, this season particularly, we have brought in a lot of free agents and a lot of young players. We've had a lot of draft capital over the last couple of drafts. So there's been a lot of young people that have been brought in. I mean, we're in the middle of a rebuild, and it's going to take a while for these guys to figure this out. It's going to take a while for these free agents to come in because, it's not just a 4-3 defense, like, just the basics. Like, there's so much more to it than that is specific to Paul Guenther. And so it's going to take some time for these guys to learn to communicate, to learn to gel and mesh, to be able to kind of predict where everybody's going to be. And not just that, but there's this old saying, a thinking man is a slow man. A thinking man is a dead man. And so basically what that means is if you're in your head and you're thinking, you're trying to, go through all the stuff that you're learning in your head on the field, and you're not just going with muscle memory, it's really, really going to be difficult, for you to get those turnovers, those interceptions and those forced fumbles and things like that. Whereas once you've got it down, once you've really, really settled into it, and you really have that, that knowledge of exactly what and how things are ran, how the verbiage works, how the communication works, where you're supposed to be, what exactly it is you're supposed to be doing at any given moment in a fast bam, quick play game like football, you're gonna be able, once you've got that down, you're gonna be able to focus on, okay, I can make this tackle, punch this ball out, read the quarterback and get the interceptions, things of that sort, as well as, with sacks and stuff like that, rushing the passer. I mean, Rob Marinelli just came in, and Paul Guenther has to teach Rob Marinelli how he does things and how he works things, as a defensive line coach. So it's going to take some time, for them to really get in here. I mean, we barely had an off season. We had a very, very short camp. So there wasn't a lot of time to get these new players and new faces up to speed with how things are supposed to go and run. Now, I think you can see over the last 5 games, kind of how things are starting to develop, especially this last game against Kansas City. I mean, that last half of that game, the defense looked really, really good. It looks like they were able to settle in and relax a little bit. And they're really starting to understand the system and how things are going to go. And it's only going to get better. So I think that the 4-3 defense is perfect for who we have to face twice a year in the Kansas City Chiefs. And, now it looks like the Chargers have got a new young quarterback that's going to be doing some big things. And so with this passing league the way it is, I really think that a 4-3 defense and the way Paul Guenther has his scheme and the way he runs things is really, really good. I was watching, like I said, watching the game yesterday again and focusing on the defense, and how he was bringing Jonathan Abram up, to the line, just basically in a linebacker position on the field, and using him not only to spy Patrick Mahomes, but also, using him as a backup to cover any running backs that were going to come out of the backfield and either get checked down to or run a route, what have you. So I really like the way that he's able to move pieces around, with the zone defense. Guys can go back and forth. It's really up to the players to really get it figured out, and I know there's some guys on the defense that people are like, man, this guy's terrible, he sucks, and that may be, that there may be some pieces that need to be removed and switched out with other people, with other players who can do the job better, because with a zone, it's really, especially with this particular defense, as a safety, you could be back there by yourself and you know, with multiple receivers on one side of the field, and you have to pick which receiver, you know, to cover. And it's kind of an anticipation thing. You know, you got to be able to read the quarterback and anticipate where he's going to throw that ball, so you know which receiver to go to back up your cornerback, who may have either gotten burnt or isn't seeing what's going on. It doesn't seeing where the ball is at. So it really takes really good safeties to run this, really good linebackers to run this defense, and decent corners. So, but I really think that we're on our way, that we're only going to get better, and hopefully they'll be able to replace those pieces as necessary. Now, in addition to that, I did some more research, and I looked up some stats. I'm going to go over some stats with you and kind of further, you know, push this whole idea of, you know, this being a passing league, us being in the AFC West, you know, with the high-flying Kansas City Chiefs offense, why this defense is so good for what we need to do. So we are, right now, the ranking, we are 25th in points allowed, not good. 26th in yards, not good. 27th in passing yards, not good, but that's improving, and it's not as bad as our rushing yards, which we are, rushing touchdowns, which we are ranked 32nd in rushing touchdowns. We're actually ranked number 6 in passing touchdowns allowed. We've only allowed 6 so far this season in passing touchdowns. So that's really good coverage as far as when it comes down to, you know, to not allowing teams to throw into the end zone, to make those, you know, and even with the big chunk plays, you know, tackling and making sure that those guys aren't going all the way with it to, you know, to the end zone. But when it comes to rushing touchdowns, you know, us being 32nd, that is really not good. You know, and that goes back to, you know, being in short yardage, being down in the red zone and being able to run it in with only 3 linebackers in the middle. You know, Nick Kwiatkowski not being in, man, that has been a huge downside for us. You know, him being hurt, he is our Mike. You know, he is the guy in the middle. You know, he is the guy with the green dot who's communicating. He is very, very vital to this defense, and we have to have him in there. We have to have him at 100%. And if we don't, we're going to be a lot more susceptible to the run. You saw this last game, him being back, how much of a difference that made. You know, we were able to shut them down and shut the run down with, you know, Hilaire, who's a really good up and coming running back. I mean, I've got him on one of my fantasy leagues, and I love the guy every week, you know, because he's doing so well. So this really is the right fit. I really feel like this is the right fit, the right defense. I think John Gruden knows that. I think that he understands that as well. Obviously, you know, he's a coach in the league, so he should know. I really don't feel like he's, you know, playing favorites or just keeping him around because he's a friend. I really feel like he truly, honestly knows that Paul Guenther is a good defensive coordinator, and I really feel like he is as well. Has he been getting it done? Has he been falling short this far? Yes, but time will tell. Things will get better. He's going to make adjustments. We're going to bring players in, you know, draft players, that sort of stuff. So I would not panic right now. I would say don't call for Paul Guenther's head. I would say give him some more time, kind of, you know, lean back, kick back, and wait for some things to develop, because he's doing a lot. And there's a lot to this defense. But as we saw yesterday on Sunday, these guys definitely have what it takes to get the job done. We can run with any team in the league. If our defense, you know, is doing what they're supposed to do and continues to get better and gel and mesh, learn what exactly it is that they're supposed to be doing. So, you know, Raider Nation, just try to breathe a little bit, man, and enjoy this win. Enjoy the win in Kansas City. Enjoy beating the Chiefs at Arrowhead, you know, scoring 40 points against them. You know, yeah, we allowed 31, but man, this is going to get a lot better. The Raiders are going to get a lot better. They're making huge strides. So everybody just kind of chillax and relax. It's going good places, man. So again, please guys, like and subscribe, you know, hit the bell. I want to try to get more subscribers on this channel so I can start going live, because I want to start doing live feeds so I can bring you guys into the chat, you know, have you guys interacting with the show, answer questions, you know, all that sort of stuff. Check me out on the socials right here, you know, Twitter and Facebook. You know, shoot me a message if you have questions, if you have comments, anything like that. You know, I'm doing this for you guys. You guys are the reason why I'm doing this. I want to bring the content to you. I want you guys to be able to subscribe to the channel and get that content and be a part of the show. I want you guys to be able to control the trajectory of what the content is that I'm putting out. What you guys want to hear is what I want to put out as far as content. So hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell, hit up the socials, do all that good stuff. As for right now, though, Raider Nation, man, I'm just going to say just win, baby. And y'all be easy, and peace to the out. We've been terrible at defense for a while. Paul Guenther is definitely not getting it done. We have got to step up on offense. The offense has to start.